G'day everyone, Phil here bringing you a game from one of the players who's going to be competing at a WCS Australia this coming weekend. Oh my god, it's going to be exciting. We've got so many awesome players that are going over to Sydney, or of course some of them actually live there already, but a lot of players coming across the nation going to be competing in this tournament, and then of course all sorts of spectators including myself. I'm going to be there and to see one of my, I suppose, one of my heroes in a way. Tasteless is going to be there commentating with Artosis for the WCS matches. It's going to be absolutely outrageous, so I thought let's have a look at another player who is from the C Australia scene who's going to be competing. It is the Blue Zerg over here by the name of Pig, who's currently playing for obviously the sponsored team, TtPiG Esports. And we'll see him fighting off today against an opponent who is a competitor in his own right, who did quite well recently in the Korean WCS qualifiers, beating Action, and then, oh my god, I've forgotten the other guy's name, but then he went down to Curious. Unfortunately, was not able to beat Curious. It is FXOTree, who's our Terran player across to the left-hand side of Shakuris. So, as I was saying, Pig, really good player. I have done a few casts of him before. If you haven't seen them already, make sure you go and have a look at those. I think there was a game between Pig and Ganji, of course, from Slayers, and that was a really, really cool game. And of course, you know, hopefully we'll see some really great games from Pig at WCS. I'm thinking if there's going to be a top 3 for my picks of the players in WCS this weekend, it's going to be, in no particular order, it's going to be Pig, Mafia, and possibly Yang, one of our formidable Protoss players in this C scene. And looks like Pig is just going to start out with a quick expand here. Of course, just very simple to do that. His opponent is actually going to do the exact same thing. Tree going to go for the CC first, not going to get the racks. Pig's Overlord is going to see that the racks has come quite late there, and he'll see that the command center is just also on the way. So now, of course, this does mean that Tree gets a nice little boost to his economy earlier on than you would normally expect, but it does leave him slightly open to earlier attacks at the start of the game. But given that Pig has not taken his spawning pool too early, it's not going to be too much of an issue. So Tree should be all okay with that, and it'll be interested to see how Pig's going to react to the fact that he's seen that now, of course, because when you see a Terran expand that quickly, you sort of do need to make a decision. Well, am I going to go for something quick myself with like a third expansion, or am I going to look up and perhaps get some annoying shenanigans going on with early attacks, roaches or banelings or something like that? But we'll see in due process. Now, this is this particular replay, of course, it is, what is it, Monday then 6, that's right, because Curiosity is going to land on Mars today. I hope I get to watch some of that. But this is after patch 1.5, so there, I don't know how this is going to go with graphical issues, but hopefully this cast will look pretty good. Last night I was doing some live casting of a tournament between one of the local clans here, and I did get a few issues, so hopefully everything here is okay. If it's not, I'll obviously have to try and fix that sort of stuff up. But looks as if Pig is going to take his third expansion pretty quickly, and he's going to try and deny this SCV. A little bit of micro here on the links to try and catch the SCV before it can get away with its life, and I don't think it's going to. It's only got one more hit left. Bam, there you go. So SCV does not live too long, but he did get some good vision there, of course. The SCV, it did find out that there was the third base in construction here by Pig, and of course that there's not going to be too many lings out right at the start, because he's going to worry about droning up, making sure that these 3 bases look very nice. Now Pig has taken his gaps here, so he's probably going to get the lair or the speed pretty quickly here. Of course, you want to try and get speed for a bit of map control, or if you want to get a lair, that is quite nice as well, just so you can get some earlier tech going. And we'll see if Pig's going to go down that particular route. But at the moment, looks as if Tree is just getting his own little bit of tech going. He's got combat shields on the way. A reactor is done, so a lot of Marines are going to jump out of this here. Perhaps he will go for a little bit of an early poke with some of these Marines. We'll have to find out in a moment. But the Overlord just floating across, going to see what tech is coming up here from Tree. Sees that the tech lab is having a little party there with its party lights, and that there are 2 reactors now. So there's quite likely going to be some sort of early attack with a few Marines when Tree has got his combat shields, just making sure that those Marines survive a little bit longer against any possible counters from Lings. And The other thing that Pig was able to do there, given that he saw exactly what was going on with the particular building structures there, was that he was able to drone. And as we just saw, there were 10 drones that just finished up here. So he is going to look quite nice on his drone count here, up to 45 already. Quite nice for Pig. But he is going to have to deal with a counter-attack that's coming across the map. There is a big little, a sizable amount of Marines. It's not a huge amount, but they do have their combat shields. And of course, as anyone knows, Marines with a little bit of micro can be quite threatening. A few more are now coming across the map as well, along with extras that are just pouring out of these racks, and they're all rallied across the map here as well. So Pig is going to use some of his queens for defense. A couple links pop out. They're not going to defend too much there, but he is going to lose an overlord. Perhaps some of these units if they get out of the hatchery in time, but a couple of queens still sitting at the back here. They've spread some creep just so the queens can get across a little bit quicker, and a third queen actually pops out of the hatchery here. She goes down straight away. No hope of saving her, but the second and the other two queens are already done, have just popped out now. An overlord, is it going to survive? Micro here from Pig is quite nice. The links now coming in, going to provide a little bit of a tanking ability here for Pig. He does do so much damage with those queens, especially with their range upgrade. The Marines doing so much as well, although looking at what is going on, there he goes, finishing off the last of these hero Marines in a splatter of blood. Finishes off that, and Tree is going to have to retreat with all of these reinforcements that he was sending across. They're going to have to head back home again, because now there are a lot of links out on the map, and a Bailey Nest is also done for Pig. So he's well prepared to counteract any sort of attacks that may come again from Tree. As we can see, we got Evo Chambers on the way, and it looks as if the lair, yep, there it is morphing as well. So he's going to look towards getting some nice tech in just a moment. We've got some wings out already, obviously being very threatening here. He could switch those into Banelings and just roll up that ramp, but of course you don't really want to waste anything too early on, and it looks as if Tree is going to pick up his third command center, put down a factory with a tech lab, and get ready for another attack. So looks as if Tree just sort of keeping himself very stable at the moment, not overcommitting to anything. Pig meanwhile is attacking the rocks. I'm not sure what he's attacking the rocks for, but I suppose it means that the path up to these bases is open to go into, because of course you don't want to be caught later in the game when a Terran opponent has taken one of these sort of semi-island bases and you don't actually have a way of getting up there as soon as you see it. So I do like that he's preparing for that. Tree has got a Viking out, going to have a little hunt around for some overlords. He's going to find one just across to the top side here. Going to take that one down. Pig going to have to get a few more overlords back in action, just to make sure that he isn't caught out by that. Meanwhile, Tree just heading through the middle section of the map, going to take control of the Zelnaga Watchtower. The creep spread here from Pig is brilliant. He's got it already across the main section here. There are at least 7 active creep tumors at the moment, a 4th base also on the way. So for the moment, it's sort of hard to say. I don't think anyone's particularly in the lead. We'll have to see what particular tech route these guys go down, and it looks as if Pig is going to go for a melee-based style here. As we can see, melee attacks is on the way, and he's got Carapace following that up as well. So we'll probably see a lot of Lings, and probably some Banelings as well, and then maybe a switch into Ultras later on, or something like that. It's very dependent on how he wants to play, of course. So he may be able to use some Banelings and Lings later on, but he will need to use some for defense here. Just popping in the top left-hand side of Pig's base is a triple Marine medevac drop here. There are so many Marines, it is actually insane, forcing Pig to cancel some of these spine crawlers that were building, and he may even lose the lair here, or will he? Actually coming in from the bottom side are some of those Banes, and they get rid of most of those units there. As we can see, a lot of deaths on the Zerg side of things, but he should be okay for the time being, sending some of those units back to work. Looks like Tree is going to perhaps do another attack here, but Pig on the ball. There he is, going to grab some of those. Is he going to get the splash of the Banes? There it is. Nice little counter drop there from Pig. So doing well with counteracting these attacks up at the top here, and continuing to spread throughout the middle of the map. Do love how well he is pushing that creep through the center section here, even pushing it up at the top side the sort of top section of this bottom base here, and that's going to allow him to be prepared for a drop. Or is he going to be able to stop this one? There are double medevacs with Marines, of course, inside, going to be able to jump in here, put down some pain on top of the drones that we're just transferring across, and also this hatchery, but I think he should be safe to save this one. Tree is trying to target it down, but has to get out of there quick smart, because there were some Lings just about to come through, and Pig, as we can see, has got a few meters out, so he's going to gain back that air control here. And wow, Tree just, I'm not sure what he was doing there, but he lost almost all of those Marines. We've only got 4 left. These guys are quite happy to be alive, I tell you what. But back at home for Tree, he's got his 3rd base established. We've got some tanks already out, so a few Vikings, just as we said, to keep some of that sort of area control when he needs to stop any sort of overlord, just scouting out what's going on. We've got a lot of Marines here as well. We got 38 Marines, 5 tanks, of course. Only just, I think there's only the one... Okay, there is one factory, but a second one is also on the way, and it looks like Pig is going to catch. He's going to catch the drop before it even happens here. No more medevacs down this southern side of the map. Getting rid of the Marines that were there, also the medevacs as well, and he's going to look pretty good with his map control for the time being. So Pig doing a fantastic job, as we said, getting the creep spread through the middle as well. Some Marines trying to come through to clean up the floor, but they're not going to get too far. But now the Marines and the tanks preparing to come through the center here, setting up the tanks behind the shrubs so that they can't be seen by any units unless they get in range of the tanks. And now the Marines doing their best to try and clean up all of that creep spread that's here. He is going to get a little bit more. We'll see how Pig reacts to that. But back at home, Pig getting a lot of banelings. He does have baneling speed, of course, and the 1-1 is done for those. So that will do quite a lot of damage. Of course, the Carapace really helps out Lings and Banes quite a lot. And Pig is going to try and do some counter-harassment up at the top side here of the 3rd base, but he's not going to get too far. Tree prepared with a couple of turrets here, and SCV is even even in position, I should say, to repair that one, or perhaps he just let it go there accidentally. But Pig just trying to push through the top side. Looks like Tree is going to try and take advantage of this high ground here. Is Pig going to be able to get the tanks? I don't know. He should be able to. I mean, the tanks are quite exposed right now. Good micro there from Pig. Takes down the 2 tanks, and now he's going to have to get those mutas out of there because those Marines are coming with a vengeance. And now it looks as if the Lings and the Banes are going to do the same thing. As we can see, Banes just ripping through all of that Marine line there, and then the tanks and everything else has been utterly annihilated. And Tree is going to have to just head back home for a brief moment here because he needs to replenish all of those forces. I think he sort of just pushed a little bit too hard on this creep. He did clear out quite a lot of the creepers we saw, but Pig still had quite a lot of coverage here at this particular base, and he's also got you know, a lot of these mobile units, the Banes and the Lings, and then those mutas also up in the air as well. So he's looking pretty good at the moment. 4 bases nicely saturated, sitting up there on 97 drones, a few too many there for Pig, but of course he can switch those into spine crawlers and spore crawlers, either to sort of position them through the middle of the map to delay his Terran opponent from pushing too far, or he can use them at his bases to make sure he's defended against drops. So the Hive Tech, of course, is done. Where is the Spire? Don't have a... Oh, there it is, the Spire, switching into the Greater Spire, and an Ultralisk Cavern down at the back as well. So Pig looks as if he is going to go with that Ultra style. He's got 3-3 just about done for all of those ground melee units, so that's going to really help out with the Banes and the Lings, getting rid of a lot of these forces if they try and push through again. It looks as if Tree is going to have a hard time with this drop, I would say. He's going to fly right through this wall of mutas. Very interesting concept here from Pig to try and just wall up that bottom side of the map to make sure that he can't get dropped on. And speaking of which, there it is. Good night, Mr. Medevac. And down he goes. But looks like Pig is doing a fantastic job of defending. He's up at 197 supply. Upgrades for the siege tanks, still sitting on just +1 to the weapons. Marines on 2-2, so they're not too bad. But of course, with these Lings now 2-2 and 3-3 just on the way, along with some Ultras about to come out very soon, I would think that Pig is going to be in a very nice position to start actually putting a lot more pressure on his opponent. And now he's, as we said before, getting rid of these rocks just to make sure that he is well aware of anything that happens here at these top and bottom bases. And now it looks as if he is getting prepared to push through the southern side of the map here, just getting some more banelings as well, getting Burrow, the upgrades for Ultras as well, and it looks as if some of these Marines will be caught out here trying to stim up to take care of the mutas. He's targeting down some of the mutas, which is quite nice from Tree, but there is so much damage being done here. Looks like there is one turret that'll try and help out, but it looks like the wall of tanks and Marines coming back across from Tree is able to take care of quite a lot of those Zerg units, and now with all of those tanks, we'll see if Tree is able to stop all of this, and I don't think so. He's a little bit late to siege there, not the best timing, and Tree does defend that. He sort of holds it back for a minute here, but is that command center going to survive? It's in the red. It's going to need some heals if you don't mind, because that is going to die very quick. But those tanks very late to siege. I'm a bit surprised that Tree was not really on the ball with that, but he's continuing to macro up 12 Marines at a time. We got a Thor coming out. These 2 factories are going to be quite useful in, 3 factories I should say, going to be quite useful in replenishing the tank numbers that he's going to need to push. And now it looks as if, oh wow, he's definitely going to need those tanks, because we have 7 Ultras on the way for Pig. So he is going to switch into that big ground style here. Of course, a lot of those mutas have been lost. We've only got a few more left on the map at the moment. He's weirdly just making 1 muta right now. Not sure what the deal with that is, but he is going to switch into this very heavy ground presence here, which of course does a fantastic job against mutas, against Marines and tanks. And here he goes, a huge bailing hit on some of those Marines there, and the Ultra is now just going to try and rip through the rest of these forces, doing their bonus damage against armored units with their 5 armor and 3 on their weapons there. They're just going to tear through all of these Marines if at any point they clump up, and that's why these Marines are trying to run. And now the Ultra is trying to get in to those Marines yet again, but they're being chased down. And it looks like the Planetary Fortress will be the point of salvation here for Tree at the moment, repairing that as quick as he can. And Ultra goes down in a burst of flames, and more resupply of units now coming down from Tree is starting to add some Marauders to the mix. These Ultras perhaps should get out of there quick smart, because they don't want to be caught around. Meanwhile, back at the 3rd base, it looks as if Tree was under attack here as well. He had some Banelings just walking through that mineral line, along with some Lings as well, I believe. And Pig just resupplying everything, getting himself back in that good position. This is that point as a Zerg where you've got all these bases all over the place. You've got gas coming out of all sorts of places as well, where you can just start resupplying, remaxing on these big tier units. And here he goes. He's just going to try and... Oh my god, Pig! With a beautiful fungal right on top of a massive group of those Marines, taking care of those with a few swipes of the Ultras, but the Ultras have actually been knocked down now. These Thors do have +2 on their weapons, so they're doing a nice amount of damage, of course, when they throw out Thor's hammer, but the question is, does he have enough production capability? A Tree currently sitting on 121 supply. As we said, he's bringing out around about 10 to 12 Marines at a time, but he is going to need something to deal with these Ultras, because there are more on the way and more Banelings being built as well. So Pig is going to look very nice here. The creep spread is also still in this middle section here, which does not bode well for Tree. If he does not start getting rid of the creep, he's just going to get Pig in his face, because of this resupply is going to be so quick. And here we go. Looks as if the battle does roll on through this middle section here. Tree is just taking losses all over the place. Thor's getting chewed apart by these Ultralists, and then the rest of the Ultras is heading up towards the top here. The Bio getting annihilated, despite the Medivacs doing their best to repair from up in the air, and Tree has left that game. He's had enough now, and he is out of there. So, great game from Pig, being able to just really macro up, keep his creep spread all the way out through the middle section, despite losing some of it earlier on in the game, controlling the airspace with his mutas, and then switching into that very deadly Ultra Ling Bane style, which is of course something which you would see back in the old days of Brood War. Speaking of the old days of Brood War, look at this, the hatcheries, multiple hatcheries out in the middle section of the map. Love that. That just really boosts up the production capabilities for Pig there. So brilliant stuff. I hope you enjoyed that one, and we'll catch you all next time. Cheers.